interest.
But the other part of that coin is, much as, yes, if they don't pay that tax, there should be measures for that. What about those who misuse the funds or the tax funds?
That's also a very interesting one, and government should equally focus on that. Now, if you start paying taxes, what we have found around the world is that there's a high correlation between the level of tax compliance and good governance. When people pay, they ask questions because they feel the pain of paying. And the more questions they ask, the more people in leadership and government will know that you must give back to these guys who have paid. We will stop looking at social services as a privilege. It will start to be a right to demand for. In the UK, if you drive and you run into potholes, you claim money for damages from government. So you can imagine they fix the road in the UK and they call us to come and celebrate and clap. You think they are insane because they're not doing you a favor. They're only doing the job they applied for, to use our common resources to build the society for us. That is the point we need to get to.
And that will also suggest that they have to be a lot more accountable to the people, because if one is made to pay tax and then those who are in public service, even public institutions, the police, the different agencies out there, they have to show themselves responsible to the people because they are being sustained by public funds, taxpayers' money. So if that doesn't happen, yeah, do you think that people will still feel, look, why should I pay? I'm paying and see how I'm being treated. There's a correction, as you said, on that one, and that needs to be corrected.
I don't think it's one before the other. I think it's at the same time. So as you ask the people to pay their taxes, which have been legislated, we're not asking them to pay new taxes. We are not even increasing the rate of tax. At the same time, you hold people accountable. This idea of the TSA, for example, is fantastic. Look at Kaduna State. It's a small state by any standard in terms of revenue. They said they've uncovered more than 4 billion. 24 billion just by consolidating their accounts. You can imagine at the federal level the size of the leakage. So first, we make it easy for people to even steal. So why should they not steal? When you try and block the loopholes and the leakages, gain efficiency, as of today, the cost of collection of tax revenue or any revenue in Nigeria is around 5%. Globally, it's 1%. And I'm not even talking about America or Europe. South Africa, it's 1% cost of collection. So we are not even looking at that as well. Plus, there's even corruption.
Why is ours so high?
It's because there's a lot of inefficiency. So you think about any tax. For example, the tertiary education tax to fund universities. They're now saying they want to increase it from 2 to 4%. Once you think about an issue, oh, education is important, let's create a tax for it. You also create another agency to go and collect it. Tomorrow you think about, oh, information technology, let's get some taxes for that. You create another agency. Now you have multiple agencies, so it's not only just about multiple taxation, there are multiple agencies. And the more you duplicate the structure for tax collection, the more the inefficiency. Plus, our civil service is not the most efficient in the world. So you have a lot of bureaucracy, and because those things are not even being measured, nobody even asked questions about it. They just give you your 5% to go and collect, and that's it. So we need to gain efficiency in the way we collect our taxes. We need to get more people to pay. We need to ask questions of government. We need to punish people when they steal the tax money we have contributed. And you find that with time, there are a lot of countries that are very well developed. They have nothing other than tax revenue, and they're doing okay.
What's the place of mindset? Because you also spoke about mindset. What's the place of mindset in all of this?
The mindset thing, I think first it has to start with public awareness and education.
How high is that?
I think it's very low at the moment. If you're asking me, the rate of public awareness, tax is not in our DNA. For example, we're talking about declaration of assets. Nobody is even asking. Whatever you have declared, which is, you're not doing us a favor, it's in the law. Have you paid the taxes on those assets?
And you should be able to publish.
Exactly, you should publish at the same
clearance.
time. This is my asset, this is my tax claim. They do it everywhere. The World Bank released their report recently about the ease of doing business. And they said Nigeria has climbed off 5 places, which is still very low, because I think we're somewhere around 170. And the media was trying to cover the highlights, because there are 11 factors they look at. You know, it was only Channels TV that talks about tax. Every other person didn't think that tax was important in trying to look at the environment and the ease of doing business. So it's not in our DNA. So you see state authorities, even state governments, when they're doing their budget, they're looking at what do you get from the center. When the center is doing budget, they're looking at the price of crude oil. So we're not used to paying taxes. We do not understand tax matters. You have policymakers who don't even understand tax matters. So where do you start?
And who don't even pay? Some of
Who
them.
don't even pay? National Assembly, for example, we keep talking about their remuneration and the rest of it. You know, if you ask me, I'll say first and foremost, let them pay the right amount of tax. And then let's start asking whether that's what they should be earning. You have loads of allowances. You have constituency allowance, you have wardrobe allowance, you have recess allowance. They don't pay taxes on those things. And based on the tax law, those things are not exempted.
And that's what you spoke about, where a certain percentage are the ones paying, and they bear the burden for everybody else.
And they are overtaxed.
And if those who are paying, or who maybe ordinarily are willing to pay, but when they see that, look, the public officials who earn so much of public funds don't even show any concern whatsoever. If they can forge a tax certificate or join politics today, get elected into office, they do some roles and don't do others, whereas the others pay taxes. Those lopsided situations have got to be addressed if everybody's got to come into the net.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But about that 15%, that should be a much later one to bring it to the whole thing. But then, thank you for coming on today. Taiwo
Thank you for having me.
Is the head tax and corporate advisory services of PwC, and we'll occasionally try as much as we can to bring this kind of matters such that those who earn those allowances will have to include. Maybe we need to even look at that form. Are there places where they should publish how much in tax that they've paid? I guess that debate will be out there. Well, that's the show today and for the week. We thank you all for being part of it all week long. We'll be back next week. Chamberlain also.
Well, Sarah, you can take your comments today, but thank you so much for writing in and for sending in your comments. I'm Mao Ogun. Have a lovely weekend.